Welcome to our attendees and thank you for participating in this Opelika Utilities Customer Information Meeting. My name is Janet Rummel and I'll be moderating today's session. The purpose of today's meeting is to inform customers with larger size water meters, 1 inch or greater in size, about the opportunity to right size your meter. We're sharing information now so customers can take action before changes to water rates become effective later this year. We want to point out that this program applies mostly to business customers. There are very few residential customers who have large water meters. So if you're a residential customer listening to this, it likely does not apply to you. You can always contact Opelika Utilities if you want to confirm that. But before we begin, I wanted to share how the session will work. The presentation by Dan Hillier will last approximately 30 minutes. And if you have questions, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We'll have staff monitoring and collecting your questions so that Dan can respond to those at the end of the session. And we'll also be recording the meeting, as I mentioned, and that will be posted on the Project H2Opelika.com website for viewing later. And so now we'll turn it over to Dan Hillier, General Manager of Opelika Utilities, to share this important information with you today.
Thank you, Janet. Appreciate all of you joining us this morning. I know you've got a busy schedule and appreciate you taking time to be with us. Quickly, a little bit about myself. I am a lifelong Opelika resident, proud graduate of Opelika High School and Auburn University. I graduated at Auburn with a degree in civil engineering. I'm also a registered professional engineer, and I've been the GM here at Opelika Utilities for the last 28 years. Quickly about our agenda today, we're going to take a moment and talk about Opelika Utilities, let you know what we're all about, some of the challenges that we're facing with our infrastructure. We're going to talk about our smart meter replacement projects and the benefits that it will provide not only to Opelika Utilities, but to our customers. But the most important thing we're going to talk about today is the right sizing of our water meters, why we need it, who's eligible, and how this program will work. One thing we want to emphasize as part of today's session is that this is a timely thing. Time is of the essence because we're in the middle of this meter project. We'll talk about a couple of resources that we have available and the next steps from both us and you. Opelika Utilities provides water service to the city of Opelika, and we also serve the surrounding communities in varying capacities. We serve a population of over 30,000 people directly here in the city of Opelika. And because we're also a wholesale water supplier, we touch over 100,000 people indirectly through other communities. We operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Keep in mind that while we're all at home on Christmas morning, enjoying the Christmas festivities with our family and friends, Opelika Utilities has employees that are working to ensure that we have a safe and sustainable water supply. Between our two surface water treatment plants, we can treat and deliver up to 24 million gallons of water a day. We have a small but very experienced and dedicated workforce. Kind of give you some idea, when I started in this job 28 years ago, we had 35 employees, including myself. Today we have 40. So we limit the number of employees and keep a very small workforce. Our jobs are personal to us and we take our mission seriously. We all live here and drink our water just the same as you. Providing water service requires significant infrastructure. Some you can see, most you cannot. We have over 300 miles of pipelines underground that you can't see. We have 8,000 valves underground that you can't see. The water towers, the hydrants, those you can see. We have 7 water towers, over 2,200 fire hydrants. We also have 106 miles of service lines that feed the meters from the main to the meter. And we have over 14,000 water meters that we're currently replacing it. What does it cost you to have water delivered to your home and businesses 24/7, 365? It's less than a penny a gallon. Think about the infrastructure we just discussed on the previous page. How much is that worth? Well, it's just shy of $1 billion. Think about that for a second. Just shy of $1 billion. That's $1 billion with a B dollars. We operate and maintain all that infrastructure for less than a penny a gallon delivered to you. But we must continually invest in this infrastructure, not only to serve new customers, but to avoid service interruptions and maintain a safe and sustainable water supply. We've developed a short video series that asks the question, what is it worth? You can find it at projecth2opelika.com, and I think it would be worthwhile for anyone to watch it. It's pretty neat. Water systems across the country are operating and managing first-generation infrastructure that was funded primarily through home mortgages. Most of this infrastructure has reached or exceeded its expected useful life. The second-generation infrastructure must be funded through water rates. We have identified over $250 million in replacement projects that need to be done over the next 20 years. Meters are part of that. We're doing that project now, and that's a $12 million project. Meters have a 10 to 15-year proposition or life, and we far exceeded that. The meters we have are about 20 years old. So that's one of the reasons we're doing that now. What are the benefits of smart meters? We use meters to monitor and record each customer's usage. The new meters will improve accuracy. We've got a lot of dead meters in the system because they're so old. Probably one of the best benefits to the customer is it allows the customers to monitor their daily use and adjust their water use habits as they deem appropriate. So you'll be able to go online every day and you'll be able to see your water usage by the hour for the previous period. You can see today, you should be able to see tomorrow. I mean, yesterday's would be good if you could see tomorrow's, but you should be able to see yesterday's and the days prior to that. It'll allow us to read the meters without having to visit the meter, so we can read them from the office. And through this project, it provides an opportunity to right-size targeted meters at no cost to the customer and provide savings to us and the customer. Why? Why are we doing this? Why is it needed? We are considering the adoption of a new equitable and sustainable rate policy. The new policy will better align the cost of operating and managing the system based on meter size. Our current rates are primarily consumption-based. Yeah, there's a minimum associated with it, but our revenue is generated by the consumption of water. So if we have a wet year, consumption goes down, our revenues go down. And most of us are aware of the conservation efforts going on in the country, which is a good and valid thing. People's water use has gone down significantly over my career, and we expect that to continue to go down. And so because most of our expenses are fixed, we're going to change our rates to more of a fixed base plus a consumption rate. The fixed cost will be equitably appropriated to each customer based on meter size. Larger meters place a higher burden of maintenance and operating costs upon the system. And through this, we've identified a small set of customers, that have meters larger than their water use dictates. Obviously, we're looking at that water use on a monthly basis, not on a daily basis. So we don't know what you use today on a daily basis. Meter right sizing will match the meter to the customer use and limit unnecessary cost. Let's take a look at an example of what I was just talking about. Here, we'll compare two potential customers. Both of these customers have 4-inch meters, but the customer on the left has a meter that is oversized. The customer on the right has a meter that is right size. Let me explain that. Look at this as the black outer circle represents the diameter and in turn the capacity, the nominal capacity of a 4-inch meter in this example. The blue dots represent the customer's monthly consumption. As you can see, both customers pay the same monthly system capacity costs that are noted at the bottom, $1,971. But customer B is maximizing that monthly investment because they're using most of the capacity of the meter on a month, each month. Customer A, as you can see, they're only using a small portion of the capacity of that meter. They would benefit financially by right sizing their meter. And we'll talk about the financial impact of that here in just a second. Anyone with a meter 1 inch and larger is eligible. Anyone with a 1 inch meter and larger is eligible for the program, assuming they can operate with a smaller meter. This applies primarily to businesses, but there are a handful of residential customers that may have a 1 inch meter that could be eligible. This is a one-time opportunity to right size at no cost to the customer. So now let's take a look at an example and how this program will work. First, if you'll notice on the right, there's a sheet that kind of outlines some information about a particular account. After this webinar, all the eligible customers, if you received one of the postcards, you will be mailed a sheet such as this that will provide information about your current water meter. The information will include the current meter size, as you see down there on the bottom left. It will also provide future bill estimates based on your water consumption during the previous billing cycle. You'll have at the top, you'll see what your current bill is with your current meter. You'll also see in the large area up here, the cost of keeping your current meter for this example. And this is for customer A on the previous slide. You notice that currently they're paying $1,704 for their 4 inch meter per month. And the reason they're paying that is because that's the minimum for a 4 inch meter. They're not using even the minimum consumption that's allowed for a 4 inch meter. If they were to keep that current meter under the new structure, their bill would go to $2,772.85. So their bill is going to go up $1,000. And most of that increase is through the consequential water charge that we talked about on the previous one. Down below, we'll give you an estimate of if you reduce the meter by one size, in this case to a 3 inch meter, their bill would go to $1,666.17. So they would even save money over the current bill. If they reduce two sizes, if this is a big if their demand will allow that, their bill would go down to $1,082.66. So y'all be looking for this. This will be coming in the mail. It'll go out later this week. And it will be geared to you. These will be actual numbers related to your water meter. Remember, this is a very timely project. So you need to take action on this as soon as you get this. The first step you need to do is determine the size of meter that you can operate with and that will meet your future needs. There'll be a right size meter request form in the packet that you get. If you'll fill that out, it'll have your account number and some other information already filled out. If you'll fill that out and send that back to us within 30 days, that'll get you in line to have your meter reduced. We have to do this quickly because our meter contractor is trying to get these meters ordered because there's such a long lead time on these larger meters, and they want to go ahead and get those ordered so they can get them put in. Part of what you'll get is a meter right sizing checklist, as you can see over there on the right. I'm not going to go through that in detail, but that will be part of what you will receive. Other resources that are available, you can look at your historic water bills. to see what you've used in the past. You may have some facility folks there that read the meter every day that kind of can give you some daily usage. By all means, keep in mind your peak demands. There may be some businesses out there that, maybe they wash their facility once a day, so they have a high peak demand for 30 minutes, maybe an hour a day. So they have to have that large size meter to meet that peak demand. But keep that in mind. If you don't have anybody on staff that can look at this and make a judgment call, by all means, you can contact the Alabama Board of Licensure for Professional Engineers. Say that five times. We have a link here to their database. They'll be glad to provide you with qualified engineers in the area that can help you walk you through this. We Opelika Utilities cannot size your meter for us. We don't understand your operations. All we're looking at is a 1 month, of consumption. We don't know what your daily or hourly requirements are. That's up to you to determine. But take a look at that and see if you can't downsize your meter. It would benefit you and us. One of the things that I've been asking, when I've talked to people out in the community is, okay, if I downsize my meter, what's going to happen, in 5 years when my business grows and I need that larger meter? Well, there's nothing that we're going to do by downsizing your meter that would preclude you from going back up to the size you had previously. So if you had a 4-inch meter and you wanted to go to a 3-inch meter now, and then in 5 years you call us and say, hey, my business has grown, I need that 4-inch meter now, we can go in and install that meter. Won't be a problem. There is a cost associated with that. You will have to pay the upsizing in the future. However, based on our estimates, your savings for right sizing now will far exceed the cost of going to a larger meter in the future. What are our next steps? We've identified, 10 to 15 customers who have a significant impact or may have a significant impact due to the proposed rates. And we will contact them directly, and we'll have a technical contractor and one of our employees set up a meeting, and we'll come on site and we'll talk to them individually and answer those questions to try to help them better understand the impacts of this change. Again, remember, if you don't submit this in a timely fashion, you may have to pay to have your meter right size. If you get this to us within 30 days of receiving the packet that you'll receive later this week or first part of next week, we can right size your meter free of charge to you. It won't cost you anything. If you have any additional questions specific to your business that we didn't address here, or it's not addressed in the fact or the FAQs on our project site at project2opelika.com, by all means, reach out to us by email at rightsizmeter@owwb.com. We've received several requests there, and we're replying to those as we get them, and we'll get your questions answered as quickly as possible. Again, thank all of you for participating. I hope this was worthwhile to you. Remember, it is recorded, so that if you forget something we said or want to go back and listen to it, probably later on this afternoon or tomorrow, it should be posted at project2opelika.com. So I'll entertain any questions that we may have.
All right. So again, as a reminder, if you have a question that you haven't already submitted to us, you can use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen and just enter your question there, and we'll get those to Dan. We have a couple of questions that have come in that we'll get to now. Dan, can you repeat again how to get help in determining the meter right sizing?
Well, I think the best source is going to be your facilities manager, your maintenance people, somebody on staff that's familiar with your water usage. You may have a operations manager that keeps up with water use. There's generally somebody at each business that sees their water use each day. That is the best source of information because those folks know your business the best. If you don't have that, The next step would be to try to get an engineer that could come in and look at your pipe sizing, look at your usage, and what your operation is doing, and try to give you a better idea of how much water you use on a daily basis. The important thing is that currently, I wish we had the smart meters in place so we could provide you that information, but we don't have those yet. But currently, the only thing we can tell you is what you use on a monthly basis. And that was our starting point. As I said earlier, there are going to be businesses out there that the monthly consumption really doesn't give a good idea of how the meter is utilized. Some of these businesses are going to have demands that are short-lived, but do maximize that large meter. So we can't make that judgment. Again, by all means, look inside and try to find somebody on your staff that's familiar with your usage and let them help you make that determination. If not, then try to find an engineer. And obviously, like I said, you can call the Alabama Board of Licensure for Professional Engineers, and they can give you a list of qualified engineers that can help you through that.
Okay, next question, Dan. Will this assist companies with shared meters? And the gentleman who was asking about that is from the Opelika Housing Authority, if that helps you answer the question.
It might, if you've got again, if the meter's oversized, let's say you've got, I think what the question is geared toward is if you've got what we term as a master meter. You've got one meter that serves multiple residential dwellings or maybe even multiple businesses. A lot of times those were oversized, or maybe they were right sized 20 years ago or 30 years ago when they were first put in, and the number of residences or businesses downstream from the meter has gone down, or due to conservation efforts, the consumption has gone down. So in that case, if the consumption doesn't warrant the size of the meter, yes, it would benefit you. Any downsizing will benefit you, but just keep in mind that you need to make sure that you don't downsize and then figure out that you can't operate effectively with a reduced meter. From a residential standpoint, most residences use anywhere from 100 and 150 gallons of water per day. That kind of gives you some idea of, if you got 10 residences down from the meter, they're probably going to use somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 gallons of water a day. That usage is going to vary. They're not all going to use the water at the same time, yet there are times of the day when a lot of people are using water. So you have to keep that in mind. But yes, it will benefit those that have multiple units downstream from, again, what I'm terming as a master meter.
Okay. And the other question is, what if I right size the meter and then determine, later that I was wrong and it affects water pressure?
If you right size now, obviously there's no cost to that if you get the information to us in a timely fashion. But if you determine, a month down the road or a year down the road that, hey, I really need I need to go back to that 4-inch meter instead of the 3-inch meter, you'll have to pay for that. I mean, there is a cost associated with that because we'll have to buy a new 4-inch meter and put that and go through the effort of putting that back in. So so to keep that in mind, that it's not don't just look at this as, I can save a lot of money right now. Make sure from an operational standpoint that the smaller meter will work. One of the things that you can do is, if you need to know, if what a 4-inch meter will put out versus what a 3-inch meter, what's the nominal capacities, reach out to us and we can provide that information to you. And I think that's some good information to have.
Okay. And again, a reminder to click on the Q&A button if you have any questions. Well, we're coming to the end of our Q&A session here soon. Dan, one question about the board adopting the new rate policy. What's the timeline that you anticipate for that?
It's hard. Well, let me answer that in two ways. My plan is to present the new rate structure, and they've seen it. It's not something that's going to be new to them, but we haven't asked them to take any action on it, and probably won't ask them to do that till sometime in the fall, maybe even early 2022. So that's not something that's just going to just pop up. And even when they take action on it, a lot of times they'll say, okay, we're going to approve this effective. It might be January 1st of 2022. It could be October 1st of 2022. I mean, it could be sometime in the future. But I don't see the rates actually taking effect if the board approves it. They haven't approved it yet. If the board approves it, I don't see them taking effect any earlier than January 1st of 2022. To kind of follow that up, even keep this in the back of your mind. We're pushing this because of the looming new rates. If the board chooses not to go to the new rate structure and keep the current rate structure we have, if your meter is oversized, you will still save money. If you think about the example we provided, where you had a customer using a 4-inch meter, and they were only using 127,000 gallons a month. If that customer can downsize to a 3-inch meter, they're going to save some money. It may not be as significant as it will with the new rate structure, but there is some savings associated with that. But again, as you're making these decisions, keep the operational side in mind. Don't just look at it from a financial standpoint. I can't stress that enough, to make sure that you're confident that if you downsize the meter, that you can operate with that.
Okay, and it looks like we had one more question come in. Is everyone getting a smart meter?
Everyone is getting a smart meter, yes. Every meter in the system will be changed out. You've probably seen some of our contractors around town, especially at your homes. We hadn't really started targeting businesses yet. Currently, they're just changing out meter boxes, because part of this project was to change out all the residential style meter boxes to a new, a little bit larger meter box that's easier to work in. And so once they get that completed, they'll come back and actually install the meter itself. But everybody will get a smart meter. Everybody will have an opportunity to register through our customer portal when we get that stood up. And that will be stood up actually before the meters are installed. And you'll, again, as I said earlier, you'll be able to go on there and see your daily consumption. Now, you won't be able to see today, because we're only getting the readings once every 24 hours. And then there's going to be a slight delay in that, so give us time to clean the meters up so we don't put any erroneous information out there. But you'll be able to see your daily consumption. You'll be able to see your hourly consumption. And you'll also, not only will you be able to see that, but you'll also be able to set notices up so that, if you're going out of town, say I'm going to be out of town for the weekend, or I'm going out of town for a week or 2 weeks, and there's nobody here, there should be no water consumption. You can set up notices that says, hey, notify me by email, by text, if more than 10 gallons of water or more than a gallon of water goes through my meter. That way, even if you're not at home, if there's water being consumed or you have a water leak at your house. And then if you get those types of notifications, you can call us. If you're out of town, you can call us and say, hey, something's going on in my house. I need my water turned off till I get back so I can investigate. And we'll be able to provide that service to you. Okay.
Well, I'm not seeing any other questions, but again, like we mentioned multiple times, the meeting has been recorded and we are posting it on the project h2oopelika.com website. And we'll also capture the questions that were raised in today's session as part of the frequently asked questions, the FAQ that we also have posted on the online. And again, don't forget that as you receive your direct mail with your specific information. If you have questions and you need assistance from Opelika Utilities, you can email to rightsizmeter@owwb.com. So thank you again for attending today, and also keep an eye out for that direct mail. And again, let us know if you have additional questions once you receive that. And that concludes our session today. Thanks.
Thank y'all.